Are you ready to untangle from your past, recover from heartbreak, and revive your life? This is Soul CPR with your host, Ann Papayoti. We've all had soul-crushing experiences and lost ourselves in our pain, but there is a way out. On this podcast, Amazon best-selling author, award-winning life coach, and advice columnist Ann Papayoti helps us navigate the path from heartbreak to healing. So now, please welcome the host of Soul CPR, Ann Papayoti.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. I want to talk to you about something that I find many of my clients have struggled with in their journeys, and something that I too have had a difficult time with at one time in my life. And it's the concept of self-love. Just the term itself can be disarming for some. So what do you think of when you hear the term self-love? How do you feel when you hear those words? Can you even define it? Well, according to Psychology Today, self-love is a practice of positivity that involves accepting yourself and treating yourself with kindness and prioritizing your health and well-being. It also includes having a positive outlook about yourself, even when you might feel upset or disappointed. So self-love can also be defined as having a high regard for your own happiness and well-being and not sacrificing it to please others. So did you hear anything in that definition that resonates with your definition? Did anything stand out for you that you know you struggle with? Now, for me, I must first define love and then apply it to myself. And when I think of love, I think about a deep caring for, a respect for, a continuous effort perhaps to understand and accept someone, and to always have the best intentions towards them. And I would say that involves kindness and compassion and patience, and that ideally it's without any conditions, right? And I remember first hearing love defined in church and often hearing it read aloud at weddings from the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 4 through 8 that says, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy or boast, love is not arrogant or rude, love does not insist on its own way, love is not irritable or resentful. Love does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. So for those who question if self-love is conceited or egotistical, or if it can become narcissistic, as some have asked me, the answer is no. It's quite the opposite. You might say it has nothing to do with the approval of others, and it has everything to do with loving you in spite of others. How's that for a definition of self-love? I find self-love for me has been somewhat ever evolving from a foundation of self-acceptance. I had to start there and then build. And it's been a process of personal growth and even a practice like mindfulness. And for me, it's been tied to harnessing the belief that I am worthy, valuable, and enough. And I guess we could also say that self-love is closely related to self-respect and self-compassion and self-esteem and self-confidence. And all of these are related to our overall well-being. And our overall well-being includes acts of self-care. So valuing ourselves and being kind to ourselves and holding ourselves in high regard, nurturing our mind and body and spirit then leads us to having more rewarding and fulfilling relationships with others. But I find that many of us struggle with with treating ourselves with the same kindness, compassion, and priority that we treat someone we care for and love. Many of us tend to be self-sacrificing, putting others' needs before our own as a way of life and confusing it with being a good person. Does that resonate with any of you? Now, anyone who's ever traveled on a commercial airline is familiar with the flight attendant safety demonstration and instruction that in case of a sudden loss of cabin pressure, to don your own oxygen mask first before assisting others. And the reason for this is that hypoxia sets in quickly and you will not be able to think clearly. You will not be able to help yourself, let alone anyone else. But if you put yours on first, you can help many, many others around you. In fact, you can help as many as you can reach. Now, it's no different in life, and many of us tend to be also self-critical, don't we? Nitpicking ourselves, our looks, our size, our performance, and so on. But what would be different if we offered love and acceptance to ourselves as if we were someone we loved and cared for on the most intimate level? But again, we confuse this with not being good if we put ourselves first. We confuse this with being selfish or somehow punitive to others, when the reality is, when you love yourself first, you love others more fully. How so? Because you're more balanced and whole and less needy and less likely to project issues onto them. So loving yourself allows you to be healthy alone and to have and maintain healthy relationships. There's absolutely nothing negative about it. And I also notice that people who have not yet learned self-love also struggle with allowing and accepting love from others. Whatever has not yet been healed from the past that devalues them in some way, whatever causes them to self-criticize and or deflect onto someone else because of the underlying trauma message is usually unworthiness. When we get to the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of it, will cause them to make someone suffer with them. Their love and the other person's love and how they love the person who hasn't healed the past will always be challenged and pushed away or doubted or clung to obsessively because they need constant validation. Now, I am absolutely obsessed with language and the meaning of words. And when it comes to our lives, some of the smallest words carry the biggest impact. And if you take nothing else from today, please take this. You are responsible for yourself and to others. Now, these two little prepositions pack a lot of weight if you think about it. You are responsible for any voids in your life. You're responsible for your own happiness. You are responsible for filling your own cup, as they say. You are responsible for creating balance in your life. You are responsible for your healing. You are responsible for loving yourself enough to know who and what is and is not good for you. And you are responsible for knowing when and what to say no to. Now, isn't no, the word no, the biggest word many of us need to learn how to say? And I assure you, it can be one of the biggest tools in the practice of self-love. And in being responsible to others, as opposed to for others, you are responsible to communicate, to ask for what you need, to give them the opportunity to understand, to be honest with them, to respect them, to set clear boundaries with them, to honor their boundaries, to honor them in general, and the list goes on depending on the nature of the relationship, the role you play in their life and the role they play in yours. In short, I like to say, bake your own cake in life. You are responsible for all the ingredients, and the rest is the icing. Simply allow others to make it sweeter. Now, if the concept of self-love is new for you, you may be asking, where do I begin? How do you even do this thing called self-love? Well, I say begin with acceptance and gratitude rather than love, because love can be a lot to ask at first, right? It's a big word. And then create affirmations to support this choice. So, for example, again, we're often critical of our looks in some way, right? And I can remember being super critical of my legs. I was a competitive swimmer growing up, and I had more stocky, muscular legs than most of my friends in our teens. And I absolutely did not love my legs, and saying so would have been a lie. So, of course, I wanted long, lean legs. And if I could go back in time, I would tell my teenage self to accept the shape of my legs as they were strong and gave me the ability to do the things that I enjoyed, like swimming, dancing, and running. So, did you hear acceptance and gratitude? Start there. Because acceptance with gratitude feels more neutral, doesn't it? It facilitates moving from, let's say, a negative feeling, I hate my legs, toward a positive one, not quite to loving them, but I accept them and I have gratitude for them. So I would encourage you to try this for yourself. Choose some part of you that you often criticize and create a neutral acceptance and find gratitude for it as it is. Stick to truths. And eventually, you may be able to say something like I have come to say now. I love my legs, and I appreciate that they have carried me through so many things in life. I will care for them, exercise them, pamper them, and delight in how far we will go together. Now, affirmations, when you think about it, are intentional, right? It's a conscious practice where negative self-talk, those criticisms, tend to be an unconscious pattern that we've developed, and we must interrupt it. And this is how we do it, people. Replace it with a conscious practice. Affirmations are the way to do it. Sprinkling gratitude, that's part of the recipe. Now, self-care was something else we brought up, right? So in terms of self-care, make sure that you are listening to your mind, body, and spirit. Are you feeling overwhelmed or stressed? Do you notice discomfort anywhere? Now, for the mind, I find journaling is a great release. It helps to let it flow out onto paper. It's a great way to sort of slow down and self-reflect and get to a point where we can understand ourselves and our situations better. And sometimes just writing the words that you need to hear in that moment is a powerful act of self-love. Sometimes I just use the notes on my phone, voice record, whatever it is, Journaling doesn't have to be tedious, but it is definitely a powerful tool that has been proven in neuropsych studies to be extremely helpful. Now, for the body, movement. Always, whether you need to expend energy, like go for a walk or for a run or hit the yoga mat and stretch with focused breathing, targeting anywhere that you hold tension, right? This is what we need to do. So listen to the body and move it in ways that honor it. And for the spirit, music is my go-to. Good music at a bad time can truly be transformational. And I would encourage all of you to create a playlist, a self-love playlist. So if this is a new concept for you and you enjoy music, then find a self-love playlist. You can Google them. I'm sure Spotify, you could just ask for one and it's going to pop some up. Pick and choose and find the ones that support your journey of self-love. We're coming up on our first break in today's show, but don't go far. We'll be back soon with more Soul CPR.
Mike Zorich, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ann Papayotti, and this is Soul CPR here on the Bold Brave TV network. Today, we're talking about self-love and, how do you define it and how do you practice it? And again, I think for me, I had to start with defining love and then applying that to myself. And I truly believe I had to start with a foundation of acceptance and finding a neutral place and moving from there. And I encourage each of you to find what it is that works for you, but also listening to mind, body, and spirit and incorporating a practice for each of those. Now, ultimately, the how-to self-love involves a lot of starts and stops, I find. And here are a few I would offer you. Start loving, supportive, positive talk and stop the negative self-talk, which is another way of saying start accepting and stop criticizing. And I can assure you that when you start bringing some awareness to that unconscious pattern of self-criticism, it would make you cry possibly at how mean you could be to yourself. And I doubt you would ever say some of the things that you say to yourself to anyone else, not even to someone you love, not even to a stranger. So pay attention to that. When we start creating an awareness, and that's why sometimes journaling is an effective tool, even to note down the things that we actually said to ourselves that day, and then writing an opposite of what we want to start saying instead, even if it's moving to the neutral, to start working towards the positive. But start with that awareness, because the negative self-talk is really one of the biggest ingredients in the nasty. Okay, I don't know what else to call it, in the nasty. Stop being a people pleaser and start respecting yourself, because people pleasing really is the opposite. It is seeking that external validation, always needing to make others happy at the expense of our own often. And that is an act of disrespect. It does not mean we're not a good person. And that is something, maybe we need to do a whole show on that. We can be kind and nice and a good person and have and respect ourselves and respect others and still say no when we need to. So evaluate, kind of look at your life and see, where do you know when it doesn't feel good to say yes to something and you do it anyway? You know it. So start paying attention to that and see, where do you need to feel back, and why does it feel bad to say no? What is it about that? And is it really about the thing, or is it because you are judging yourself? So start paying attention, create some awareness so you can make some changes. Start reconnecting to you, right? Start reconnecting to you. Stop seeking that validation from others, and reconnecting to you is that starting to know, what is it that I like? Where do I need some time alone? And I find a lot of people struggle being alone. So reconnecting to you, what do I really enjoy? What have I always done to please others, but have sacrificed pleasing myself? Start something you've always wanted to do and stop doing what others think you should do that doesn't fulfill you. If you spend some time alone, you might figure out what that is. I had a lady in a course, I may have said this before on the show, that had always wanted to take dance classes as a kid. She was now in her 60s and she just assumed it was too late. But she found a way to get involved in dance, and that now she teaches it in like a senior living home. And she just has found this joy with dance later in life, something she was never allowed to do as a child. So because she was told I believe this was the story, she was told she didn't have the body of a dancer. Can you imagine that messaging? Yeah, you can imagine that. Start treating yourself like you would the person you love most in this world, and stop martyring yourself. You know what I mean by that, I'm sure. Stop martyring yourself, sacrificing everything that makes you happy or would be fulfilling for you, and do treat yourself like the people you love. Give yourself the same time, energy, attention. Start building yourself up. Stop tearing yourself down. Start valuing yourself with the choices you make with your time, your food, your money, your energy, your relationships, and stop sabotaging your health and well-being. So ask yourself, what do I need to start doing, and what do I need to stop doing to love myself better? Are you taking notes? Is really, what do I need to start doing, and what do I need to stop doing to love myself better? And when it comes to self-love, ways to practice it are always going to be learning how to set boundaries. And again, a lot of people ask me, I used to teach a healthy boundaries course at the West Island Women's Center in Montreal. So I promise I will create an online course from that content. It's on my 2025 vision, and it will be available to everyone in 2025. We need to learn how to set boundaries to protect ourselves. But first, you must know who you are. You must get an understanding of who you are. So that is always the first step, who you are and what you stand for. And that is understanding very clearly what you value, and what your goals are in life. And and learning how to pull back from some of this pleasing other people. So boundaries, forgiving yourself. What do you need to forgive yourself for? A lot of people hold on to something and they're trying to show up in life making up for something that they haven't forgiven themselves for. And so some of the people pleasing comes from that as well. So really, it's getting still and quiet, giving yourself the space and time to reflect about who you are and why you're showing up the way you are at this point in time in your life, and surround yourself with positive, supportive people as you do this personal growth work. It's very important. And look, we're all a work in progress. We all are. Again, I said this is a journey. It's not a destination to be. It's self-love. Okay. I don't think anybody is fully there at all times. It is it's a continuous journey. Again, it's a practice to work on anything, any kind of negative mindset to move towards the positive. But prioritizing well-being, mental health, these types of things, embracing self-compassion in a time when you might most need it. To anyone out there who's going through a very difficult time right now, whatever that may be, it's learning to offer yourself that space and time to feel what you feel, to acknowledge the emotions that you're experiencing, to go through a grieving process if that's part of what's happening for you, and to allow yourself to come through it. Eventually, you will build a resilience from learning the practice of, or from practicing self-love. You'll come back through the next thing faster, stronger, but allowing yourself the compassion to go through what you're going through, and to not be okay at all times. To hold yourself. Does that make sense? To hold yourself. I said something about my legs earlier, and I mentioned that I would pamper them. So when it comes to self-care and that part of it, the acts of self-care, what would self-care look like for you? How could you pamper yourself? What would that look like? What would that feel like for you? Sometimes it's maybe allowing yourself that treat, or that slice of pie, or that bite of chocolate. It might be that. It might be that bubble bath. It might be just sitting on the bench in the park, giving yourself an extra 10 minutes for something. What might it be for you? Think about it. It might be saying no to going out and staying home, curled up in a blanket with a good book. I don't know, but what is it? Because self-care can be any of those things, and many, many more that I'm not even saying, right? Could be going fishing. It could be going golfing. It could be a massage, whatever it may be. And some of you are thinking, gosh, all of this sounds difficult for me, but know that none of it has to cost money. These are all acts for yourself, whatever they may be. But it's not about that. It's about prioritizing time, and we're all equal when it comes to time. We're all given 24 hours a day, right? So it's about prioritizing within those 24. What are you going to do with it? how are you going to allow some for you? Now, I see the biggest struggle is going to come from a level of self-esteem. What is your self-esteem? And self-esteem is value. And there are days where we may value ourselves higher, and other days where we value ourselves lower. The goal of self-esteem is like the stock market. We don't want it to shoot so far up that it's going to crash one day. We want a healthy balance, right? One day we value ourselves a little higher because, hey, we're proud of ourselves for something we did. One day we're like, I yelled at the kids today. I'm not real proud of myself. I'm going to go apologize, and I'm going to have a talk with them about what it was that upset me. And then we're going to come back up here, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm back here. We want to keep a healthy self-esteem flowing, just little dips, peaks and dips, right? That is the goal of self-esteem, never to crash and never to be so high that we regard ourselves beyond others. Make sense? Okay. That is what I have for you on that. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is, if you can imagine really building this practice of self-love and really getting to this point of saying, okay, I am starting to, self-talk positively. I'm starting to create acts of self-care. I'm starting to feel better about myself. I have some self-acceptance. Imagine what that's going to do for the rest of your life. It's time for our second break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how this foundation of self-love will impact the rest of your life in ways perhaps you haven't even thought of. Don't go far. We'll be back with more Soul CPR.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth, and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. We are talking about self-love. I mean, what does it have to do with it, right? What does love have to do with it? Everything. Self-love is foundational to our overall success and well-being because it directly influences how we approach life, how we handle challenges, and how we relate to others. And there's a quote from Buddha that says, if you truly love yourself, you will not hurt the other. And I think of this as applying to more than other people. as I said, we're in relationship with everything and everyone. We're in relationship with our time, with our food, with our money, right? With our energy, with others, with everything, with our goals. We're in relationship with everyone, everything. So if we truly love ourselves, we will not hurt any of these areas of our lives. So self-love is foundational to our overall success and well-being. So if we think about that, let's start with mental and emotional well-being. Self-love fosters resilience. When you value yourself, you're better equipped to handle setbacks and failures that we all experience in life. It's part of life, right? So instead of becoming overly critical or giving up, we can learn from the challenges that come up in life, and we can fall forward, as they say, and continue moving forward. And as I was saying to anyone who's going through a difficult time right now, know that part of loving yourself means allowing yourself to go through that, right? As we were saying, and giving yourself that space and time to feel and to acknowledge and validate those emotions that arise, and to float, as I like to say, to reconnect to your breath and calm your heart before determining which direction to go next. The pain is shorter lived when we allow the pain and we acknowledge it and we nurture ourselves through it. So again, self-love says it's okay not to be okay sometimes. And it also says when you need a lifeline, reach out for one, whether it be a friend, a hotline, a coach, a therapist, a clergy member. It's okay to ask for help. And part of that martyr syndrome that many people take on is to not ask for help. Let's talk about healthy relationships. I've talked about boundaries. I've talked about respect. Well, loving yourself means setting boundaries and not allowing others to mistreat you. Boundaries are for you, not them. You're the one who has to set them and honor them. This leads to healthier, more fulfilling relationships because it's based on mutual respect. And again, knowing when to walk away. I've probably said it before, but if it's your first time listening, I teach boundaries like baseball. Strike one, perhaps you didn't understand. This is the line. Strike two, now you understand it because I explained it after strike one. Now that one's on you. If it happens again, which is strike three, then there's that consequence. Now, what happens with people who do not have a healthy self-love, strike three becomes strike 4, 5, 6. Don't do it again. Don't do it again. If you do this again, and next thing that it's just wallpaper to the other person's ears because the consequence was never implemented. So self-love honors their own boundary. Okay. So more fulfilling relationships because there's a mutual respect. You have to respect yourself first for anyone else to respect you. Attracting positive relationships. So when you have a strong sense of self-worth, you're more likely to attract people who treat you well and support your growth as well, right? And again, it's a continuous journey for self-love and personal development and growth. And what about just having goals and the motivation to achieve them? Well, when there's self-love, there's an intrinsic motivation that helps you pursue goals and that truly resonate with your values and passions. Again, without kind of chasing and seeking that external validation. And there's so much more satisfaction and truly greater success when it's your goals and your values and passions and your own validation, your own good job at a girl or at a boy, right? And, the rest of it, again, is the icing. Just makes it sweeter when somebody else also tells you good job. Overcoming procrastination. When you believe in your worth, you're more motivated to take action and follow through. To follow through on your plans rather than putting them off, procrastinating due to fear or self-doubt. And we did a show on procrastination and perfectionism before. I call them the evil twins because often they're intertwined. Now, what about your physical health? Those self-care practices can be linked to your physical health. I have clients who haven't or who avoid medical visits or checkups. Loving yourself includes taking care of your body through healthy habits like proper nutrition, exercise, and rest. And this directly impacts your physical well-being and energy levels. I also have clients who self-sabotage with numbing behaviors. Do you know what I mean by that? I mean, numbing the feelings, the emotions that are negative or painful, and they numb them with what I call the over behaviors: overeating, over drinking, overspending, over Netflix binging, over scrolling, getting lost, going down the rabbit holes on social media, right? So, and these things rob them when we're talking about prioritizing time, that we're all paid equally in time with 24 a day. It robs them of that ability to prioritize that time for something that is truly self-love. Now, I can tell you sometimes if I choose a day to Netflix binge and I've chosen it consciously, it might be an act of self-love in that context, right? But if it's just something that's robbing me because I'm numbing out, that's what we need to look at. Okay, so pay attention. What are your habits like for nutrition, exercise, rest, and anything else that's impacting your overall mental and physical well-being? And reducing stress. Again, a lot of these habits might be to reduce stress, but self-love promotes stress management by encouraging you to prioritize your mental health and engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, not numbness. Okay, so there are ways to look at that. Let's say it's drinking wine while Netflix binging, and you started with one glass, it's two, now it's three, now it's the whole bottle. Well, one thing we would do is now consciously interrupt that pattern. Let's hold the wine glass and let's pour sparkling water in it and use the wine glass. But we have to consciously break these patterns. So we can't change what we don't first acknowledge. So you have to notice, what are the habits? What am I doing in the name of stress reduction? Now, what about personal growth and fulfillment? Self-love allows you to accept your flaws and see them as opportunities for growth rather than sources of shame. That's a big statement, and I love it. Opportunities for growth rather than sources of shame. So embracing imperfection, and this mindset fosters continuous personal development and authentic living. When you love yourself, you're more likely to live authentically and make choices that align with your true self rather than, again, conforming to others' expectations. And I think probably you're going to stop comparing yourself to others, and what a thief of joy comparison is. Professional success, confidence, Self-love boosts your confidence, making it easier to take risks and recognize and then seize opportunities and advocate for yourself in your career. And self-confidence just means believing in yourself. That's what it means. And then that would follow with a work-life balance, because it's going to help you maintain that healthy lifestyle and prevent burnout and ensure that you sustain success. Right? So, professional success, would you think of that coming with self-love? Side effects. The side effects of self-love: overall happiness and well-being, positive outlook. I think this does not get everything it needs, but positive outlook. Self-love nurtures a positive mindset and leads to greater happiness and life satisfaction. The power of positivity, and that creates resilience against negativity and helps you resist all those influences. There's enough negative influences around us, right? And it helps us then stay focused on truly what matters most to us. So again, self-love is a foundation, starting with acceptance and then building self-love, which helps us lead our most rewarding, our best lives. Okay. It is time for our final break in today's show. And when we come back, I've got some closing comments for you. And I have something exciting to announce, an opportunity that you just might be interested in. So don't go far. We'll be back with more Soul CPR.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
All right, and we are back, and thank you for those who are watching live and for your comments. It seems it is resonating, isn't it? So why is self-love so important, and why should someone take the time to do this work? Well, again, it's everything. It's our foundation for how we show up and interact with the world. Again, we're in relationship with everything and everyone, and each of these is impacted by how we think, feel, and act towards ourselves. It's going to pay off in your relationships at home and work. And if you give yourself permission to take up space, to have a voice, with self-awareness will come self-mastery. So awakening to self-love truly is a spiritual journey, I believe, and then comes better decision making and that self-confidence, which is believing in ourselves. And from there comes a sense of peace. And here comes life balance. Doesn't all that sound just like lovely? And we tend to accomplish more of what really matters and is in alignment with who we are and what we were meant to do. So when people are looking for a purpose-driven life, there it is. We become more resilient. We bounce back easier when we get caught in one of life's storms. And there's always another storm, right? But each one of them runs out of rain. They always do. It's truly transformational. Self-love becomes transformational in every area of life. So who needs to do this work? We all do. But specifically those who can identify as people pleasers and people who don't enjoy some alone time or feel they can't be alone and be okay at the same time or fulfilled or well or people who struggle to look in the mirror without criticizing what they see or people who waver in decision making and or doubt the decisions that they do make. People who look for that external validation for their worth. People who truly only thrive because of flattery and compliments or good grades. For people who are certainly anyone who may be self-loathing, recognize that they are self-sabotaging in one of those relationships in life, and people who struggle with personal goals and certainly in finding happiness and well-being. So again, I encourage you to define love and start by practicing acceptance and gratitude for yourself and to others today. Now, I'm excited to announce an opportunity that may interest some of the more adventurous among you. I am hosting my second Soul CPR Destination Retreat. It will be February 13th through 18th, 2025, and the theme this year is self-love. The retreat will be held in a private villa in San Salvador with stunning views of the Pacific Ocean as the backdrop. So you can visit the homepage of my website. And there, thank you for putting that up, Caleb. You can visit the homepage of my website, which is skyviewcoaching.com, and select the Learn More button on the retreat banner for details. And of course, reach out to me if you have any further questions on the Connect page of the website. And the retreat is limited to 8 participants, so do reach out soon if interested. It's a great way to recommit to yourself, and I'm going to keep it small so that those who come can get all the support that they need. And while you're on my site, you can sign up for my newsletter to stay up to date on the retreat and courses. I'm going to get that boundaries course out there for sure, and any other offerings. And as today's show comes to a close, remember that healing is not a linear journey. It is a process of profound transformation. And if today's stories and examples and of course self-love resonated with you, share this podcast, please, with those who might need a lifeline of their own. I'd greatly appreciate if you would subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help us reach more hearts. And do connect with me on social media. On Facebook, you'll find me at Skyview Coaching. On Instagram, LinkedIn, and X, you'll find me at Ann Papayotti, and that can be a difficult one to spell, but it'll be in the show notes. So let me know your thoughts, your stories, and the topics that you would like to explore in future episodes. So until next time, may you find strength in your vulnerability and courage in your journey. I thank you for listening. Breathe deeply, love openly, and live soulfully. Good day.
This has been Soul CPR with host Ann Papayotti. Breathe life back into your spirit with each episode, where she and special guests explore the relationships that hurt us and discover that healing can only begin with you. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.